Thank you to everyone for being here. Thank you to my family. When my mom called me yesterday and told me that they're coming, I was really, really excited. And then I thought, okay, now what do I not share? But then I'm in recovery now, so it might be shocking, but they'll be shocked by what happened, not what's happening. Maybe some of the stuff that's happening too, I don't know, since even being in recovery, there are still a lot of imperfections that we have. In my experience, it was very, very slow for me to understand, for me to get what this program was trying to teach me. And I thank everyone who was in my recovery, in my journey, including my family, for being so patient with me. I remember in treatment when I got punished. Oh, okay, it was a consequence. Punish makes it sound like very, very bad. I got a consequence, and I was really scared about it getting to my parents. And more than the consequence itself that I got, it's why I got the consequence. All the behaviors that I was getting the consequence for, and all that stuff. And I was very, very scared that, oh my God, my parents are gonna hear this and say, he's still doing the same stuff, he's still the same person. But we used to get phone calls, and when I called them, they laughed. They laughed at me. Which was really nice, because it's just been their patience, as soon as they saw that from the time I became willing to change, they've just been supporting me the whole time. They never failed to let me know, we see your efforts and we're here for you, And there's money here. Never mind the patience that they showed me now in recovery, but the patience that they showed me inactive, because I gave them a very, very hard time. I think that they should have thrown me out of the house a long time ago, but thank you for not doing that. I appreciate it very much. I believe I would have deserved it. I deserved it about 5 years ago. But I'm shocked my dad nodded his head like yes. I didn't expect that. But anyway, this fellowship taught me how to live, because I could never do simple things. Growing up, I looked at everything that was around me, everything that my parents had achieved, and without even realizing subconsciously, I told myself, I'm fine. I don't have to work hard at all, because I've got everything around me. Everything is easy. And, they took, good care of me. And what they made me start noticing the reality of my alcoholism and, where it was taking me, the effect that it was having in my life, is when I started having my own responsibilities, like going to varsity and having to get a degree and having to just start the path of my career. And then I saw how much of a disaster that was. And then it started becoming clearer and clearer. Like I started seeing that I actually have a problem here. But now I share this all the time. I was too scared to admit. I should have admitted a long time ago, but I was too scared to admit. And also, I didn't want to take responsibility. You know, if I had to look at it, whenever I thought about having to stop, I knew that I'd have to take responsibility. I knew that all of the things that I'm trying to escape from, all of the things that I'm trying to, drink so that they seem okay, aren't going to be okay anymore. And I'm going to have to start facing them. I'm going to have to start doing things to change them. And I did not want to do that. And that is the reason why I still carried on. Because I was like, I prefer this. I prefer drinking and just suppressing responsibilities and suppressing difficulties of life and reality and, all the discomforts of growing up and, getting your life together. I prefer suppressing all that stuff and drinking rather than actually facing the stuff. Until it got to a point where the drinking did not do anything anymore. And that is when I suffered the most. And in that time, a lot of crazy things started to happen. My life, when in the readings it talks about the abnormal becoming normal. For me, it started being abnormal to have two ladies walk around with me on campus, making sure that I attend class. My parents hired two ladies to make sure that I go to lectures in varsity. I was probably 23, 24 years old, and I had people looking after me, waiting for me outside the lecture room. And I know this because I've tried to escape and I saw them right there. And I had to make up some lie. Say I was just going to the bathroom. And that's just the inability of me to take responsibility. And in that time that was all happening, I saw nothing wrong for some reason. Actually, I do know what the reason was for me not seeing anything wrong. It was just because I was just in deep, that much. That's how bad, the disease had gotten. Because that's where the disease takes us. It takes us to a point where our lives are completely abnormal. Our lives are completely unmanageable. And I know that. And I don't know what it must have been like for them. These are all things that I was supposed to be taking responsibility for. Mind you, there was already a lot of money that was paid for me to study alone. And then now, babysitters. Who would think they'd pay for babysitters for a 24-year-old? That's very abnormal. But it helped. I would not have passed my degree if I didn't have those babysitters. So I appreciate them. But I'm also ashamed of that whole situation. I'm very ashamed of that whole situation. But it's my reality. It shows me how bad I can be. It shows me where I come from. It's the reality of my defects. I can still go back there if I don't take responsibility. That same defective behavior that led to me having to have babysitters all the time, it's still there, even now. But this is something I appreciate more than anything, about my life now. What recovery has given me, the program has given me the ability to act differently, even though those defects are still there, because the program has not taken the defects. It's not made the defects disappear. I am still, in a lot of ways, I'm very different, but there are still things that are the same. I still wake up in the mornings going, I would actually rather sleep. I still get in the car and go to our meeting in the morning with my bosses and I think to myself, oh my God, I do not want to be here. I would rather do something a lot easier than this, because that was my defect, really, more than anything. That's the thing that took me down more than anything. It's wanting life to be easy. Like I believed life should be easy. I didn't accept anything else. And that made me and everybody around me suffer, because everybody around me would go, but Nqaba, why aren't you taking responsibility? What is your problem? And in my head, I'm like, I wouldn't even know how to explain it, but the truth of the matter is, I just wanted things to be easy. But today I do wake up, I do go to work, and I do the best that I can. While those feelings and like that thinking that caused that behavior is still there, I am doing the complete opposite. And that's what's taken me through to where I am now, which is a gift. Because in the past, I know as soon as I have a thought of, I'm not going to study because I'd rather sleep, I didn't fight it. That's exactly what I did. But now, while I have that nagging thought in my head, I will still do an assignment up until about like 1 a.m. in the morning. While that nagging thought, until somehow, somewhere along the line it disappears, and I'm just in the zone typing and enjoying it, and then I think to myself, where did that go? And that's the miracle that recovery has given me. It's not that those things have gone, but I'm able to live life while those things are there. Those things don't have power over me anymore. But I can't take that for granted. I still need to keep on, using the principles of this program, because if I don't wake up and put in the efforts, things aren't just going to change, which is something that took me a long time to learn, even in recovery, which is something that put me through a lot of pain, even in recovery. I had to be taught painfully that responsibility is important. In treatment, I washed cups, I scooped donkey poop, I swept the driveway, the whole driveway, I raked leaves, and it was all because prior to that, you find that I've been going for a week, being late for every group meeting. And I didn't think there was anything wrong with that, because that's how I've lived my whole life. And it took so much for me to get out of that. And my first sponsor, I often think, he was very hard on me. He was very hard on me. And it wouldn't have taken any other way for me to change, if I had to be honest. Because I was just so thick in that, just not caring about life, not caring, nothing was important, everything was the same. And he was very, very hard on me. I'd often maybe go to him and try to talk to him about something that I'm going through or whatever. And before I even finish my sentence, he'd say, weren't you concerned this morning for not waking up early for group? And I'd say, yes. He'd say, please just work on that. And then he'd just leave me after that. I'd be like, that's so rude. That is so rude. Does he know how much stuff I needed to talk to him about that means a lot to me, that is troubling me emotionally? Because that's all it was. I had all these things that I'm like, oh my God, my emotions, oh my God, if I can just be, oh my God, I'm so precious. I just need to be nurtured. I had all these things, but simple responsibility, I'd be like, okay, yeah, I'll take care of that later. But right now, I just have to focus on this. And he literally beat that out of me. He literally beat that out of me to a point where, responsibility started becoming more important than all of the other nonsense that I would spend my time, thinking about. And what then started to happen was, no matter how I'm feeling, no matter what's going on in my head, just like how I shared in the beginning of my share, I was able to take responsibility, because I started to learn this is actually more important than anything, which is something I couldn't understand before. I started to understand that I need to, whatever responsibility I'm given, I need to take it seriously. It's a responsibility you've been given. You're accountable for it, and you can't just let go because you don't care anymore. Because it was that simple for me. I would let go of the biggest responsibility mainly because I just don't care anymore. And that was enough of a reason for me. Or I just don't feel like it anymore. That was enough of a reason for me. For some reason, that made sense. And oh my God, the amount of things that I destroyed, the amount of relationships I destroyed, the amount of opportunities I threw away, all because of a reason like, yeah, I don't feel like it anymore. That's just, it's just the tragedy of my life, I guess, which is what got me here. But they say there's no mistakes there's no mistakes in God's will. God doesn't make mistakes. I clearly had to act out on all those behaviors all those times so I can get here to a point where I learn that those behaviors aren't okay, and also learn a whole lot more. Who knows if I would have learned all of the things that I know about life now if I hadn't gone through all of the things I went through before. Like it's funny, Neville walked in because on Friday when he came to me and he's like, yeah, congratulations for your 3 years. I told him, I was like, you know that one of the moments that broke me the most and that was the biggest lessons of my life started were because of you. To just make it simple, because I always share this all the time, because it was such like an important part of my recovery. It's something I never forgot. We used to do Roach Coach, where we went to the market on Nqaba on Saturdays to sell Vosa rolls. And it was me and 2 other friends of mine. And that whole thing was a disaster because we forgot chairs. I don't know how you forget chairs when you're going to sell Vosa rolls. I don't even think we had a table. Did we have a table? I don't remember. Yeah. I don't even remember anymore, but it was a whole disaster. And this was the reality of the situation. The reality of the situation was, for the first time in a long time in my life, if not ever, I've been trusted with a car. I've been given my license to be the driver and given the responsibility to just be the person who makes sure that all of this, goes well. That's the responsibility I've been given. To me, on this side, it was just all the same. I just wanted to do it, get it over with, and come back, And hence, I didn't even bother to check if we had everything we needed. And, this one moment is a reflection of how I've been my whole life with everything. And we got there, realized, oh my God, we forgot the chairs. And this one guy who we were with said, okay, I'll offer to go fetch them. He wasn't given the license, I was given the license, meaning I'm the only one who's supposed to drive. But I was like, okay, yeah, sure, you can go. It's somehow fine to me. And he goes there, comes back, and then we didn't even solve that much. And then we pack up everything, we pack up the braai stand, and we go back. And as we get there, I just start getting shouted at about how you're gonna let him drive. He didn't even have the license. What if something had happened? All of these things I'm getting shouted at for, and I'm like, whoa, I think everybody is overreacting, because as I was doing these things, I didn't think anything was wrong. That's just how I've been my whole life. I never thought anything was wrong. Something that would shock someone else, I would go, you're overreacting. That's just been me my whole life. And then we tried to get the braai stand out of the van. We broke the tailgate, and after that we left the braai stand outside the whole weekend without washing it. You're supposed to wash it and put it back and pack it away. We left it outside the whole weekend, didn't wash it. From Saturday till Monday, when Neville came to work, everybody just heard Neville throwing a fit in the kitchen, and I wasn't even there. And I'd even forgotten what had happened during the weekend. I was like, I've apologized, so now it's over. And what then happened was a group came, and then a friend of mine brought it up and said, with Neville being so upset, we found out that Nqaba and so left the braai stand out there the whole weekend without washing it. I'm still like, why are they even bringing this up? This is so silly. And I didn't get it. And from there, a whole lot of other things came. Yeah, he does this too. Yeah, he just doesn't care. Yeah, he just thinks everything is okay. He just can't seem to take anything seriously in life. And all these things came. And I'm like, whoa, everyone, what is going on? Slow down, and I had been, this was the thing, I had been house leader up until then. But not long before that, house leader was changed and was given to someone else. And even then I saw nothing wrong. I was like, that's a bit strange. I've never seen a house leader being changed before. But it's fine. Yes, well, congratulations, well done. and then it came up in that group as well. One of the counselors said, we actually even took you off house leader because you're useless. That's when I broke. I came out of that group crying. I cried. I'd never cried that much before. I don't remember ever crying that much before. I guess why I cried is that it all came together. I connected with oh my God, so this is what happens when you don't take responsibility. I've always been thinking that it's fine to just do things anyhow, but it actually isn't. And more than anything, because I was very, very proud of the fact that I'd been given a responsibility like house leader, and then being told that my behavior caused that to be taken away from me. I was like, even the things that I'm proud of achieving can easily go away because I just throw them away that easily. That is what I connected with more than anything. Because prior to that, in my active addiction, I had had a whole lot of things in my life that I had lost, a whole lot of opportunities that I had thrown away. But I somehow make excuses so that I don't have to look at the reality of it, that I actually messed up and I actually lost that opportunity. I never really wanted to look at that. It was too hard to look at. All those times I failed in varsity, I would much rather have made all those different excuses rather than to look at the fact that my behavior caused all of those things, caused me to fail all of those things, But in that moment, I had no choice. It was right there in my face. And it was a very, very hard thing to accept, but it helped me a lot because even today, it scares me. The moment that it starts to seem as if I'm falling back into old behavior and I'm about to lose people's trust. I'm about to lose, people's trust basically. It's such a big thing. I get scared because it takes me back to that moment again. And the chat that my sponsor had with me after that was, I hope you see that this is what you did now with this whole Boerewors role thing and leading up to you leaving the braai stand aside. It's a reflection of how you've been your whole life. This is you, your whole life. I hope you look at this moment in that way. It's you don't care. You've been given responsibility, but you can't even handle it with care. You can't even handle it with pride and say, I'm accountable, so I'm going to do the best that I can. It's just the same as everything else. My dad often used to say, everything is just the same with you. And I never used to understand what he meant. Everything is the same. What does that even mean? And I get it, because I never knew that this is important. I need to take it seriously. I need to do that first before that, because that's more important than that. It was that's more fun. So that's what I'm going to do. So after that, I worked in the garden, and I could look at that as my first job, really, because I then had my first employer. Raking leaves. I had to then start making sure that I get there on time at 7 every day. For the first time in my life, I had to make sure that I get somewhere on time. That was the first time I actually learned that. And I don't think I was ever the same, after that, ever again. I was taught how to live in recovery, basically. That's one of the many examples of how I was taught how to live. Simple things that I somehow could never understand and that I somehow could never do, I was taught how to do. And even if I took long to understand them, of which a lot of them every normal person knew, but the people around me didn't judge me. Although Miranda did say I'm the laziest person she's ever met in her life, but that's okay. But people were patient with me. They kept on teaching me and teaching me and teaching me and teaching me. And the more I realized how much I actually don't understand about just growing up and being mature and living life in recovery, I became more and more willing to listen. Recently, my boss sat me down and we were talking about, my performance in certain areas of my job. And he reached a point where he got to a point where he said, if we have to talk to you about this again, I'm afraid we will tell you to pack your bags and go. And then I got the shock of my life. Again, I had been slacking off and behaving in ways that I thought was okay. And then when it got to a point of him saying that, and then that's when I realized, I was like, whoa, Gandhi, that's how bad it's been. That's how important it is for me to reach targets. Because before that, I was thinking, no, it's fine. I didn't reach this target today, it's fine. I didn't reach this target today either, but it's fine. I didn't reach it again, but it's fine. And then again, when I realized that now my job is on the line, then I realized, I was like, wow, okay, reaching targets is important. So you see, even still now, that I'm still unlearning all of that stuff. There's still a lot of behaviors I still think are okay, but I have moments. But recovery has given me the ability to spot those moments, to see those moments, be like, okay, now this is the same as the Vosrol incident. You don't know how many situations I compared to my Vosrol incident. You don't know how many. The Vosrol incident has helped me put so many things into perspective, to be honest. But I guess also another thing is when my studying. I never thought I'd ever be able to study again, if I have to be honest. Because I got to a point where I couldn't study at all. Like I would stare at my books, but I'd be so intoxicated and so broken and so hopeless that I couldn't even get one paragraph into my head, and then I'd give up, couldn't go for more than 30 minutes. But the fact that now I can sit for about 5 hours working on something, it's honestly a miracle. For recovery to let me do things that were impossible in the past, it's honestly a miracle. My old sponsor used to say that the only way we can recover, it's got to be nothing short of a miracle. It's nothing short of a miracle because of how far gone we were, how far gone our lives were. I would say that I'm a testament to that. Anybody around me knows, anybody who lived with me knows My sponsor, every time he asks me, my old sponsor, do you still have that job even now? And I say, yes. He's like, incredible. he shakes his head, like in disbelief, like incredible. I could never wake up on time, but now I've kept a job. It's been really amazing, really, what recovery has given me. And I would say that recently in my recovery, the gift that I've gained is I've been so much more aware now of those defects of mine that always took me down in the past. I've been so much more aware. And what that's done for me is, I'll give an example. I call clients all day to tell them about their vehicles. I get shouted at by clients. That for me is something I never thought I'd ever be able to do, because I hate confrontation. I'm very self-piteous. So for me to pick up a phone, knowing that I'm going to get shouted at, still make the phone call, that on its own is a miracle, because that's the type of thing that would make me quit straight away. As soon as I go, this is not going to go well. I would quit straight away. But now, as I'm dialing the number, I'm going, oh my God, I really don't want to do this. Still, pick up the phone, speak to the clients. They say whatever they want to say. I have whatever fears I have going on in me, but while all of that is still going on, I'm still on the phone, still talking to the clients, still trying to resolve whatever issue there is. And after that, I take it off, move on to the next one. So it's like, in the most simple way, it's like nothing is an excuse for me anymore. Like nothing stops me anymore. It never took much to stop me from taking responsibility, to stop me from waking up, to stop me from showing up to whatever I need to show up. It never took much. All it took was a little bit of fear, and I would quit and I'd give up. But now, while the fear is there, I still take responsibility. I still do what I need to do while the fear is there. It's like I'm living with it. It doesn't have power of me. It's not gone. It's still there. But it just doesn't have the power to stop me anymore. It doesn't have the power to cripple me anymore. I still get better at whatever I do while I'm in fear. That is a miracle. While I'm in fear, I still do what I need to do. Honestly, that's a miracle. I had a lady at work who owns a Corolla, and I called her and to give her updates about her vehicle, and she says, I noticed on the email that you attached me to, you had the wrong detail of our vehicle, you had the wrong color, you had it as black. And I go, yes. She says, my car's not black. I say, okay, ma'am, sorry about that. And then there's awkward silence, and I go, so, and she goes, you're gonna ask me what color my black is on? My car is on. I was like, yes, I am. And she goes, that's what I thought. And you are my repairer. I said, yes. I said, I'm not that good with colors. I'm sorry, man. She says, my car is metallic brown. And I go, okay, I'm really sorry about that. I go to the car, it still looks black to me. The car still looks black. So that was another very humbling moment, And I have those all the time. Oh my God, and in the past, I wouldn't want to go to work after that. After that type of thing happens, I wouldn't want to go to work. Still carried on with my job though, still carried on with my day. Was in my flat at night. I wasn't thinking about it. The movie wasn't playing in my head like, it usually would. That, oh my God, I had something so embarrassing happen to me at work. I'm so worthless and what. That didn't happen. And that's the miracle. That's the stuff that helps me, to keep going. I don't know if I've gone over my time, to be honest. I think I'll stop now. Thank you very much for letting me share.